Testing. Are we ready? Hello everyone, my name is Sampson-Blackwell. I consider myself a tech pioneer, a synergist at everything I do. I built my brand around synergy, which means bringing all things together, including community and opportunities. So my background in tech started about 9 years ago when I first wrote my first line of code in high school. And from there, I learned how to leverage community and learn how to leverage open source to create opportunities for myself. So my very first engineering role that I ever got about 5 years ago was from open source opportunities. So I started contributing to open source with the previous founder and CEO of Docker, Solomon Heights. Me and him started building projects together, and we started posting everything on Twitter, and just getting a whole bunch of people to come build with us, and things just went viral, and it was like, yeah, that was my stepping stone into the tech industry. So right now, I am the founder of City Synergies Ventures, which is my personal brand. I'm also the co-founder of another passion project called the Black Lesbian Lincoln Foundation. And as I mentioned, my whole brand is built off of community building and open source. So everything that I build, every single project that I built while I was in college and while I was in boot camp, I turned it into a community, and then turned it into a passion project that turned into a side hustle. So everything about me is about leveraging opportunities and trying to find the next way to level up. So today we are going to talk about the open source AI revolution and how we are going to shape the future one contribution at a time. So we went through the last 9 years of my life. Up until 2 years ago is when I gave my first presentation on AI. And it's where I leveraged these different AI tools like ChatGPT, Midjourney, Well-Said Labs, and PID to be able to create AI avatars. And this was like when the AI boom was first coming out, and folks were needing a way to get involved while also building their personal brand. So I took it upon myself to jump ahead of the wave and start building AI avatars 2 years ago. So in this presentation, we are going to talk about how you can actually get involved with open source AI, how you can take advantage of these projects, how you can scale your career or your business, and how you can also be able to build your own communities. And at the end, I have a cool little demo for you guys. The last slide kind of gave you a brief introduction of what it's going to be about. But with all of these new AI advancements, my demo at the end, I feel like it's pretty cool. You guys may think so, may not. But yeah. So, this is one question that I want you guys to keep in your mind throughout my entire presentation. I think it's very deep, I think it's very sentimental, and I think it means a lot. And this question is, who controls the future of AI? I don't want anybody to say it out loud, but I just want you guys to think about this to yourself, and just think about all of the advancements and with everything going on. I want you to really think about who controls the future of AI. So, what is open source AI? A lot of folks think that AI should be something that's hard to get involved in. They think that you have to be a machine learning engineer, or you have to have some type of background in coding to be able to get involved with open source. And what I love about open source is that it's open. Open source is for everyone. Open source gives you a chance to be able to get involved with something that you don't know about, and something that you can be able to pair up with somebody that's sitting next to you to learn some new tools and contribute in a way that you may not have ever learned that you can actually do before. So when it comes to being able to contribute to AI, these are a few different open source tools that me and my communities have been utilizing very different models when it comes to, image recognition and speech, text, and all of that good stuff. But when it comes to taking it to the next level, you need to learn how to leverage these tools and how to find friends that are building things that allow you to be able to leverage your career and get to the next level. So why open source AI matters? So in my opinion, when the AI wave first came out, right, a few years ago, it was a scary thing, right? Folks are thinking like, okay, like who's controlling this stuff? Who's keeping track of our data? Who's holding our data? Who's training these models and all of this good stuff? And to me, that's the importance of open source, right? Because behind these big tech companies, and if all of these big tech companies are the ones controlling all of these, AI models and everything that we're using, and they're the only ones training the data, it's very limited, right? And it's also a scary thing because we all see, I'm not going to talk about politics right now, but we see what's going on, with our stuff, with where people have control of our data and control of our files and control of our secret information who should not have access to our stuff. So to me, that is the very important decentralized open source technology and why we all should leverage these different tools and figure out how we can get involved. Another thing is lower barriers to entry. So, with a lot of these big companies and corporations, even with OpenAI, right, a lot of folks are using their models. The shit is expensive, right? And what I've learned about and taking advantage of these different open source models, they're making it open for everyone where it's a little bit more affordable, right? And we can all also learn how to be able to build and train our own, open source models where we can control the price and control what happens with the data. So how to get started with open source AI? So as I mentioned in the beginning, you don't have to be a machine learning expert. It's a myth, right? That's what everyone is talking about, even on LinkedIn, when you hear all of this stuff talking about AI and how folks are getting this new job or starting this new company. Everyone thinks that you have to be an engineer or you have to be a machine learning engineer, and shit is not true, okay? So anybody can contribute to open source AI. You can be a documentation engineer. You can be, a quality assurance, tester. You can be somebody that's, involved in DevOps. You can be somebody that just likes to build communities. There's so many opportunities for folks to get involved that's not just limited to coding. For me, I had an advantage because I did have an engineering background, but I also leveraged my community building. So when I first wanted to contribute to my first open source project, I didn't know how to code, but I know that open source was important, and I know that it needed to be a part of my brand. So I found open source communities that I could join, and I said, hey, I see problems in your docs. Can I fix them? I see that there are a lot of folks in your Discord community that are having problems with finding information. Can I be able to help them, leverage your developer portal a little bit better? So there's so many ways that you can find out how to contribute. And in order to do that, you have to get out there and put every skill that you have. You don't have to limit yourself to your small skills. So how to find open source AI projects? So something that I started using, I think earlier last year, was the GitHub Explore page, and also using a lot of different Reddit conversations where folks are posting about what are good open source projects to get involved with, and they're out there. I'm also a very pro person on LinkedIn and Twitter, where I like to post and tell people like, hey, I'm interested in this. If anybody has any opportunities or anything that I can get involved in, please let me know. So take advantage of your resources and also these, other technologies, especially like Hugging Face, which is a really popular one. A lot of folks are building projects with these tools, and you can get ahead of the game by getting involved, with those communities now while they're in their development phases, and also helping them with market research as well. So the rise of decentralized AI. Something that I keep saying over and over and over is that these big companies should not control all of our data and everything going on. I think it's very scary, and it's not okay, and I think that it's very important, right, for all of us, in this room to figure out how we can find these different communities that are utilizing these open source decentralized models. For example, Mistral AI and Llama 3. And then also, the reason why it's important is because it allows for people like me, people like you, people that look different to get a chance, to be a spokesperson, right, in that data. So for example, when I first started using Midjourney, every time I would generate an image, it would always generate something total opposite of what I was looking for, and I had to be very specific when I wanted to get somebody black, or somebody that was LGBTQ, or somebody that was non-binary. So I learned how to work the system very well because I've been, working with these different AI tools, so I can get it to give me what I want. But it's very hard, and it shouldn't be that hard to be able to generate the content or the images and things that you want from these different tools. So how to be able to leverage the different AI sources for your career and your business growth. So for me, as I told you, every single project that is in my portfolio, I built a community around it, and I built a passion project that turned into a side business. Every single project. I kid you not, all right? You can go through my GitHub and my portfolio over the last 5 years. I've always just been ready to build. So if you are somebody that's like me, and either you're looking for a career transition, you're looking to get involved in the startup world, or you're looking to just learn some new skills, I would say go and find some open source projects, create you a community, and learn how you guys can leverage these different skills and build together. Because it's the most important thing. And now to this day, I have a community that I started that with in 2019. Fast forward to today, everyone is working in tech. We're all leveraging these different AI tools. We've been building with open source together over the last 5 years, and it's that's my people. It's my family. When you get nerds together, that's how you know. Those are your people right there, okay? So here goes our first demo. So with this demo, I thought this shit was mad cool, right? Because over the last couple of years, when I first started using AI tools, it was all right, you start on ChatGPT to generate either some type of text or speech or something that you want, and then you go over to another platform and plug that information in to generate what you want. Then you take that generated info, take it to another platform, do what you need to do, and then go to another platform. So that's what I was doing, to manage my brand and manage everything that I was doing, especially with these AI avatars. And the other day, this masterpiece right here popped up on, I think I was doing a study, a paid study, and it was with this platform. And not only was I able, if you can see everything here, I generated an image. Once I generated that image inside of there, by telling it what I wanted to generate, it allowed me to be able to create not only a background for the image, but take my speech that I want, of course, still ChatGPT. So ChatGPT created the speech for us, and then we have these different tools where we can pick who we want to be, the sound for the voice or whatever that may be. And all of this stuff is in one platform. So this is a 2-minute video that it took me to generate all of this stuff. And for me, I use AI avatars and things like this to enhance my documentation. So when you're doing open source projects and when you're managing a lot of communities, documentation gets boring, right? Not only does it get boring, it gets hard to write, it gets hard to keep up with. And when you're managing all these different communities, it's hard to keep up, and it's hard to keep your community engaged. So this was a very cool way that I felt like I could be able to get interactive with my communities and all of the different open source projects that I'm involved in, to post on LinkedIn and also give weekly updates of the new features and everything that my team shipped. So this is...
Hey there, I'm your AI-powered guide, here to show you how AI avatars can make open source projects more engaging, accessible, and fun. AI avatars turn boring documentation into interactive video guides, making it easier for contributors to get started. Use AI to bring tutorials, project updates, and QAs to life, keeping your open source community connected and engaged. Want to make your project stand out? AI avatars help you educate, innovate, and build thriving communities. Let's create together. The future of AI is open, and you're a part of it.
So this video, it doesn't even fully do Wondershare Verbal full justice because I kind of ran out of tokens. But this bad boy actually gives you music to put in the background. It also gives you movement as well. So right now, how I'm up here talking to you, I'm moving my arms. You can make this person move their arms and move around like they're actually giving a real presentation. So I thought that was just mad cool. So for you guys that are also interested in learning how to take advantage of these different tools, I have several blogs that I have written as well, including all of these different tools for you guys to create. So yes, I hope you like that. So what if we had an open source AI version of this, where we were able to create our own images, use our own voices, use our own movements, and be able to configure what we want, our different models and everything to look like, right? As of right now, when we're utilizing these different tools like Midjourney, we can only use what they have trained their information on, right? But what if there was a way where we can actually plug in our own information, tailor it to what we want for our brand, what we want for our company, and it keeps track of that information. So open source AI and the different ethical challenges. So open source AI, right, it's not just about building and just doing weird stuff, right? It's about the accountability. And I remember when, a few years ago when AI and everything first started becoming a big thing, and folks were like, okay, who's responsible for what, and who's doing what, and who's holding what? So I think that that's another thing that's important about open source AI, right? Because not only can we see who built what, we can see who contributed to what, and who owns what. And it makes it more available, to the public, and that information I feel like should always be public. We need to know who built this, we need to know where it was trained from, where did you get your data from, what are you doing with our data, and why, right? I feel like those are the most important things. So when we are building these AI models and utilizing these different things, we need to be aware, right, of the different biases and things that they come with, and how to be as ethical as possible at all times. So some of these different tools that I've already mentioned, like Mistral AI, which is an open source tool that is like another, I would say, a competition with OpenAI. Only difference is that Mistral AI is fully open source. Hugging Face that has become very popular. Stable Diffusion, which I mentioned when it comes to the Midjourney apps where we are generating images. Stable Diffusion is also another open source image generation tool that we can use to be able to train and build our projects. And something that they all have in common is community-driven innovation, which is the number one important tool when it comes to building open source. Community is at your forefront. So, for all my entrepreneurs in the building, like I mentioned, when it comes to utilizing these different tools that already have models and things that are trained, it makes sense to utilize models that are already built to be able to jumpstart your MVP and get your stuff out there without having to take the time to pay for machine learning engineers and take the time to train your own models. You can utilize models that are already out there to be able to build and scale fast. And that's another thing that when it comes to open source, you can really scale your startup business and your MVP by making your technology open source. So our roadmap to your first open AI contribution is number one is picking a project that excites you. Number two, we are going to engage with these different open source communities, whether that's on Discord, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Like I said, if you want to get out there, you got to get out there because nobody's going to come to you. You got to go to the people. And like I said, my first contribution to open source was with the founder and previous CEO of Docker, which is now his company. His team now created Dagger. We started building open source projects together back in 2020, all from a Twitter post, because I was thirsty and I wanted to get out there, and he responded, so it works. So step 3, start with non-code contributions if you are new. Go and find some bugs on their website, find some stuff in their documentation that you can improve. Go in their Discord communities and figure out how you can maybe start some community events and start doing things to engage their community. Number 4, finally create that first pull request. And number 5, stay consistent and make sure you continuously build that network. So, like I said earlier, it's the question that I wanted you guys to keep in your head throughout this talk. And again, who controls the future of AI? Does anybody know?
We do.
You do? Are you sure?
We better.
How do you know?
Because if we don't, it's going to be a problem.
Okay. So like we said, we all do. That's the magic, all right? The magic of open source AI and the future is that we need to control it. So it's time to get down and dirty. It's time to get busy. And it's time to find these communities that we can leverage and scale to get to the next level. Thank you guys for listening. You can scan my QR to stay in contact with me. I don't know if we still got time for questions, or?
Let's do questions afterwards.
Okay. Alrighty, but yeah, you can scan this and stay in contact with me. And my name is Sydney Synergist on all platforms. Thank you.
We're going to do a quick little change here. So if you want to grab something to refresh your drink, or you grab some